Welcome to the Basecamp Podcast.
Connecting you with the ideas from some of the fastest growing entrepreneurs and creators on the internet.
I'm Shenny.
I'm David.
Let's get started.
Mr. Zarak Khan, first ever public media appearance. What's going on, dude?
Gentlemen, it's a pleasure to meet you both. Privileged to be here. No, we've been working on this for a while now. I mean, 6 months, I think we've been planning on this.
It's been in the works.
But we finally made it happen, which is fantastic. And what a place it is.
Yeah, we got a nice little setting here. Our first proper video in-person podcast.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. It's, I know we've had to reschedule this a few times as well, but it's a pleasure to be here, honestly.
I think this is the fifth date we've picked to try and
honestly, man, I feel like if I bailed on this one, I just feel bad.
You think?
I feel a little bad. Like a little bit.
All right, so for people who don't know who you are, like, who are you? What do you do? Like, where have you come from? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, good question. So what I do right now, and have been doing for a little while now, is managing director of a fashion and luxury advertising company and a consulting company in that space. I've been doing that for a little while now, and before that, I was still in the fashion industry and have been since about 2017. Mainly in the marketing and tech side of things, specifically the tech side of things. And, that's something that I've been doing in business since I was, probably like 14 years old. So
wait, hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on, wait, so you've been doing fashion since you were 14? Or you've been
I've been doing fashion
stuff?
since for about 5 or 6 years, but I've actually been doing general marketing, and I was thinking about this yesterday. I did my first cold campaign when I was like 14. Yeah, and it was done very, very differently on completely different websites, different systems. But that was like my first taste of it.
Doing what?
So, fun story. So I'm actually classically trained in playing the piano. I got like an FRSM and everything, and I used that information to produce music. Before everybody was doing it. I was doing it like when I was like 12, 13, and then 14, I was like trying to make some money off of it. So I built like the website, set up the page and whatever it may be, set up like it was called Sellfy back then. It was like an online digital product selling platform. And the way we would get people to buy this music is I'd actually do this crazy thing, and it was like so unsustainable, but for 14 it was crazy. I'd go on Twitter and I'd use the advanced search, and I'd be like sendbeats.com, because a bunch of rappers every single day would be like, hey, send beats to my Gmail, blah blah blah. Yeah. And then put it through a scraping tool. And then I would run all those emails through this. I think it was called like Mad Mimi or something. It was the equivalent of like some email sending provider. Yeah. And then I would run all these DMs or emails to all of these people through the scraping tool. And then I'd lead them to my website, where they would either just purchase the music directly, or they'd come to me and buy like a custom package, or they do something of the sort. It wasn't crazy money, but for like 14, I was balling. I had a really good time.
That's insane.
That's a great way to get started. Even if you were to if that would have been your path, going into music, that's a great way to start.
I think it probably would have been the path. And sometimes, I wonder what things would have been like if that was the idea. But I was a kid, so like, I just assumed, hey, I can stop this and focus on school for a little bit. And I did. But, by the time everything was said and done, I never really revisited it or went back to it. I was kind of already onto something else at that point in time. But it was interesting. That was my first experience with cold email, and I kind of forgot about it until a couple of days ago.
So we went from cold emailing, random artists to send them beats, to e-com and fashion.
Yeah.
What was the background in that?
Well, I'm going to go back a little bit, but just because it makes sense, and it'll make sense in a minute. So right after that stuff, what I was doing is we were publishers. We were growing like these social pages on Twitter and Instagram. I was only doing it on Twitter. And the way we would monetize that is we would sell ads on those. So a company would DM us, or like there'd be those websites where you can just post the articles and get paid. Mm-hmm. And that was like the coolest thing for me, because my network at its peak had like a couple of million followers based on like 6 or 7 accounts. All of them got deleted, by the way, when the purge happened. But by the time that happened, I was already on 2 other things. So I met up with some friends in a similar space in Houston, Texas 6 years ago. And I was making money through posting ads for other people. And one of them was like, if you had your own e-commerce store, you could cut the middleman and make all the money. And I spent about 20 minutes just making fun of him for how stupid of an idea that was, to the point where I got home that day and I made one just to show him how stupid of an idea it was. Well, he was actually right, because it made like a lot of money and instantly. So my whole introduction into e-commerce was purely out of irony. I built it to show that it wouldn't work, and it worked actually very well. But when I was making that store, I was like, all right, well, what are we going to sell? Clothing, fashion. I understand that. And it was really fruitful because there was no advertising cost, because I already owned the accounts in which it was being published from. So that was my introduction into understanding e-commerce and fashion and advertising. Because the reason when all those accounts got shut down and I didn't really mind is because by then I was already transitioning into paid traffic and online advertising channels. So by the time those accounts were gone, it's like, well, they were already like 5% of the traffic anyway. It wasn't a big deal. And I certainly made my money out of those accounts. I milked them dry. Pause.
This guy went from so professional to sex joke in like less than 4 seconds.
Well, that was smooth.
I just want to set the record clear, you know.
All right, okay. So e-commerce store was essentially built from the fact that you had access to a traffic channel.
Yeah.
And it made more sense for you to own the thing that the channel promoted.
Yeah.
So that was, I guess, the introduction to e-com. Where did it go from there?
It surely went into paid traffic through like, you know, Facebook ads, Google ads, Instagram specifically, which is like part of Facebook. And that's really when it was probably my first taste of like real income, real money coming in. Like, this is where it's like, you know, when I was a 14-year-old and we made like 4,000 or 5,000 at most in a month. At 14, that's life changing.
Yeah, it's amazing money at 14.
Most people in their 20s aren't doing that. What are you talking about?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I know my age
grind
that
harder, but like no, I'm kidding. I know, I appreciate it was a lot of money, but like it was I'm looking at like when I was 20 years old, it's still a very good amount of money, but in terms of business, I felt like it could have gone further. So, you know, when that store was profiting me, you know, over $1,000 a day, that was like my real taste of, wow,
Okay,
this is real, and it's all thanks to the ads. But the thing is, with e-commerce, you know, you have to be a product guy, you have to be a design guy, you have to be a logistics guy. You have to kind of put an everything hat on. And I didn't really enjoy any of those things, with the exception of the advertising behind it. But it was like my real kind of, and along the way I learned, you know, there was no YouTube tutorials and stuff like there is today back in the day. And how complicated everything is now is not like what it once was. But it was really interesting to kind of get into that Shopify and Facebook ecosystem, you know, when it was somewhat brand new. It looks nothing like how it looks today. But understanding the foundations and testing yourself and putting your own money on the line is, in my opinion, probably one of the best ways to really kind of dig deep and get your hands dirty.
So if there were no courses or just less people on YouTube about basically helping other people get good at ads and media buying, where did you learn it from? Was it all trial and error, just like common sense?
Dude, it was like, because I'm sure there were YouTube tutorials at the time, but I kind of just went in on it myself. I did what made sense to me. My first ever campaign, I released 2 on the same day. I'll never forget it, because the next day, like, the sales just shot up. And it was, I launched a conversions campaign simply because it made sense to do.
Yeah.
And I launched a traffic campaign simply because that also, at the time, made sense to do. I had a video ad running on traffic, and then I had a few carousel ads running on conversion campaigns, and night and day difference. So that was based on the assumption it could have technically been any other type of ad which made money, but you know, conversion ads is where it was. I wanted to make purchases.
Mm. And at those times, competition is not going to be anywhere near as it would be as in these days.
You'd think, but you know, Facebook and Instagram are kind of killing the competition, and they're making the ecosystem a better place as years go by. You got to remember, in 2016, 2017, almost anything could fly. You could get away with CBD ads. You could get away with all these strange growth hacks and selling all these forbidden products. And in 2018, they kind of put their foot down again, and they took people out. Especially with like counterfeit goods and whatever it may be. Like, you'd see a lot of stuff just slowly stop being shown on your feed. And they're continuously making it more difficult. So you got to remember, like, there were less people advertising back then, but it was also a free-for-all back then, or closer to it. So there'd be a lot of advertisers who would kind of put out these ridiculous offers because there either was no product or the product was digital, and it was like a credit repair service or something. Like, it was really easy to advertise back then. There's more advertisers now, but I'd argue it's easier now too.
Right. That's why there's that big list of, nothing adult, no guns, no alcohol, and a bunch of other things fall under that list. It's because it was a free-for-all and people were doing it back then.
It was really easy to get. I mean, I'm sure there were things which were like against top policy back in the day, but it was just so easy to get away with. Not that I ever did it.
Big caveat on that.
Of course.
Okay, so you've tried and errored your way into $1,000 profit days. So it's a very serious e-com store at this point, right? Or at least semi-serious.
Yeah.
What happened then?
Hated doing everything else.
Okay. So
like literally, hated everything else. Like I had to hire like this person, that person, this fucking VA. I had to like customer service, this, that, logistics. Dealing with that was crazy. Designs, getting exclusive rights to designs from factories and stuff. I didn't enjoy doing that part. And I realized that like 99% of the reason this is working is because of the ads behind it. So you would think the next step is to do ads for other people. But I just sold it and did nothing for like 6 months. That was way more fun. I did like absolutely nothing. I was chilling.
How old were you at this point?
19 or 20.
Jesus.
That was a little while ago. I think I was 20. Yeah.
So sold it, did nothing for 6 months, and then what?
I had the time of my life, man. I was really just doing nothing. I was like waking up at like 2 p.m. Some people are going to be like, oh, that sounds terrible. You need a routine.
No, that's life.
Hell no. Hell no.
Those ages, 19 years old, waking up at 2 p.m., going to bed at 7 a.m.
Yeah, no.
Amazing.
But it wasn't really the end goal. And I was just trying to figure out what's next. And I really wanted to kind of take fashion a little more seriously, but do only parts of it which I enjoyed. An opportunity came in 2019 to kind of run all of the digital stuff for Naked Wolf, which is it's a shoe brand. It's doing really well now. It has like 1 million something followers. They just set up in LA and whatnot. And that was like a really cool experience because suddenly all these stuff I didn't like doing is being taken out of my hands. I don't do any design work anymore. I don't do any logistics. I don't do any this, that, and the third. I'm just focusing on the marketing and I'm focusing on the website. And it grew exponentially. Had a really, really good time working there. And I made a lot of good contacts. I'll fast forward a little bit. I wanted to do my own thing about 18 months down the line. And I was slowly exploring it when the pandemic happened. But then a woman I worked with at Naked Wolf called Lauren, she left the company and she worked at another clothing brand. She called me and said, hey, look, we really need help with the ads. I don't know anyone else who can do it. If we pay you, could you just do the ads for us? And I wanted an easy life. So I was like, I'll think about it. But I think about it means no. But then she messaged me again. And I was like, you know what? Fine. I gave her the price. They instantly agreed to it, which means I probably should have charged them more money.
Way more. Yeah.
But it was Lauren. So I just did it, right? And they became my first client. They're still my client today, actually.
Wow.
Nice.
And that's when I was like, wow, I could do this for like a few companies. And very shortly after, me and Naked Wolf parted ways, but they're very, very good and talented people. It's run by 4 siblings, and I'm sure it's going to continue growing. And I'd like for it to continue growing because like that's where like I made my start. Makes me look bad if it like failed. I hope it doesn't.
So you started your own agency specializing in paid media.
At the time, that's all it was, yeah.
How has that grown and changed over time?
It's grown and changed based on what people have told me they want. Quite quickly down the line, people were like, look, we have paid media teams, but you've worked with all these companies. Could you train our paid media team, or could you just tell us what we could be doing? Mm-hmm. So that's basically a consulting gig. Mm-hmm. And I really like those consulting gigs because you alleviate yourself of having to actually go into the account and manage it. And you also have like an extra head to think with. In many of these instances, the teams they're working with are extremely talented people. So I like doing those gigs. And as the ads changed, we started introducing like stuff like Google and billboards and not email. not doing email and stuff, but
Okay.
paid ads consulting. And I think when like our first billboard went up, that was a crazy moment for me. It was Black Friday last year.
Wow.
And I like seeing like this place I used to drive by quite frequently, seeing like a huge ass billboard, which like we put up there. That was like, that's when I realized, man, I really love this. Like I love doing this.
We know you now historically as a paid ads entrepreneur. Who's the man behind all of that? Because so far as Twitter is concerned, you are some sort of like mafia gangster. And I went to school with you, so I know fucking that's not true.
You should keep thinking that.
Who is the man behind it all, right? So you've obviously moved.
I like to make clear that like, you know, business is business and personal is personal life, right? And there's a separation between the two. You know, my personality is not my business. I'm a human outside of that. I'm a professional in business, but outside that, I do what I want to do. And maybe I'll say something funny, or I'll just, I still do things like regular people do. I'm a regular guy. It's just, I'm not using Twitter, which is something I've been using for 10 years to center around my business. If you want to look at my business, go on the website, email me. But my Twitter is for my friends, and it's going to stay that way. I'm sure there's a lot of people in business who do follow me on that platform, and from time to time I'll bring up business, but it's very much how I feel. And yeah.
This is the whole idea of compartmentalization, which I like. I like the separation because, and I even do this sometimes with friendship groups. There's some friendship groups that I know because I've known them from day one. They're the people that know everything about me from when I was a super, super young kid. And then there's people who know me for business things, and there's people who know me for sports things. And they don't always mix. And I like that they don't always mix because there's multiple layers to me. And if there's multiple layers to me, then it means that people can get different sides and aspects of me. So having like the professional you and then like the personal you is important. And I like the fact that stays kind of separate because it means it means there's multiple layers to you, which actually makes you more interesting.
Based. Yeah, I agree. No, that's really what it's about. I'm like a lot of my friends, like I've known them for like a very, very long time. And most of the people that kind of keep around me, like knew me from before any of this business stuff happened. Forget in the last couple of years, like I'm talking about 6 years ago, like none of it. And, they're not all going to mix. And, this summer has been like a good example where I've been around a lot of different people. I've been around my day ones. And then I've also had a lot of people kind of come into the city from overseas for business. And, the way I act around them is going to be somewhat different to how I act around my day ones. But similarly, if they're just coming for the summer, so like the guys at Triple Whale came over to London for the summer. We weren't talking about attribution and all that shit. We were just having fun. We were just going to the club and doing whatever we wanted to do. I wasn't there to talk about ads with them. They were here to have a good time. But yeah, I think compartmentalizing is important. And also as you grow older and as your network evolves, you're going to be around a lot of different circles. And you should only be around the circles you want to be around. But yeah, you might have to act differently. Some things might slide with one and not with the other. But but on Twitter, it's what I want to post. And it's if you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. But I'm having a hell of a time.
I think what you said about the idea of like compartmentalizing different friendship groups and that being okay is very different, especially from, I guess, our side of Twitter, who's like only associate with people who,
Your side is like full of nerds, though.
Oh, no, facts.
No, I agree with it, but like
Ain't nobody having any fun on that side.
Yeah, because it's all like to some degree, depending on who you talk to, I want to caveat that. Like, it is all a very much a for show environment where everyone is trying to one up each other, right?
Posting babes and stuff.
Yeah, that is.
We need to.
That's why I'm kind of. That's kind of why I distanced myself, because you got to remember, this whole side of the internet which you guys are on, I was forcibly brought into it with a Fazio by the wizard himself.
Yeah, I mean, okay, then this topic has come up. We may as well discuss it, right? So,
okay.
I think the reason that a lot of the money Twitter crowd know of you or follow you or found out about you is because of a very specific instance that went, I would say semi-viral because of what you did with cold email. So explain that story.
I like to point out all the information which I used to get to that point was available, and it wasn't anything that like Daniel told me one-on-one or anybody told me one-on-one. It's all the same public information which everyone else has access to. But you got to remember, for years and years, I perfected the craft before I started doing all the sales and the outbound. So I have a little bit of a track record, and I already have a few companies who I've worked with. And I use it to my advantage because I tell other people that's who I've worked with. And that helps me in the case. You know, I was doing it for years, sometimes, you know, without even getting paid for it. And that's kind of really what moved the lever. It wasn't like some ridiculous script. In fact, I think the script was probably bad because it was handwritten, right? And I don't think it was necessarily just the persistence of the emails. Because you could email me like 50 times. I'll just move you to spam. I'll find where you live. You email me 50 times. But I think it was a mixture of somewhat of the persistency in emailing, because it was a big deal, but it was very evident that we could help them.
Even the first email, I believe there was like 3 or 4 case studies just rattled off. And then it was the pitch. And then it was the persistence afterwards. So they see the persistence, and it's like, all right, what's this guy got to say? And then they see the top one, and there's actual clout there. So that is making the case a lot in this situation.
Yeah, that was early days. That was probably near the beginning of all this. So I was like really adamant on landing clients at that time. It's a little different now, but I didn't have like any automation. You know, at the very beginning, I had a PDF file. I had like a little bit of a pitch, and I'd find like 50 people I want to work with. I'd make it uber personal, because if I want to work with these people, I already know everything about them and their businesses. So, you know, I'd send 50 emails, I'd get like 35 responses. It was pretty easy. And this is, you know, in lack of systems and automation and any sophisticated systems in place. So when I started using some of that stuff, it really took it to a new level.
Oh yeah. And
it's still not even a great system. Like,
don't even get me started.
In fact, that system hasn't even been used in like a year. But yeah, I mean, you've seen it. It exists and it works. It's nightmarish. You know, some people think I have like this uber complicated system behind my business, and it's not. I pay for like 2 softwares, and one of them is QuickBooks.
Huh?
I think the other one is like DocuSign, which is like next to nothing.
Wait, hold on. So, because like I'm trying to piece together, because we had this talk off air, and we were talking about how there's certain systems that some businesses just need to have, just because of, you know, the nature of what they're doing, and if they're using a lot of SaaS, because the SaaS is going to help automate it.
3 softwares.
Your website's built on Squarespace.
It is now.
Oh my gosh. Moving on.
He's so proud of it as well. Look at him.
Oh no, facts. And honestly,
It's just an easy life.
And honestly, to get to where you are without having the amount of like the SaaS costs, because even in our business, that's what, 30%?
Yo, what the fuck? Sorry.
You can swear. Fuck, shit, piss. You can swear.
Piss was the last one in your mind there.
Interesting
You were like,
choice.
oh, fuck shit, and then, oh, wait.
Interesting choice there.
Yeah. Anyway, but no, like, I agree. I think the reality is, especially when you're starting early doors in the online business world, it can be very easy to rack up a fat tech cost that it clearly doesn't need to exist.
No, it doesn't.
Yep.
But this is the thing. When you have a small number of very high paying clients, the level of systems and just people that you need to manage and everything is way less than the person that goes for the long tail, who's like, I can work with everybody. They'll pay me $250 a month and I'll get 14,000 of them. That's way more work.
I think coming from e-commerce, margins are like really important to me as well.
True.
You can make like $100,000 in e-commerce and only take home like 15.
Yeah.
You can only take home 5 if you're like fucking stupid, but like, you know, the margins aren't great. So what I love about like a service-based business is if conducted correctly, you do get to take home most of what you make. And having minimal software costs is kind of important to that. I'm sure there's programs which exist which would make everything easier. But you don't necessarily need them. At least my business doesn't need them. I'm sure plenty of businesses do, but not necessarily mine.
Because I was even talking, this was a while ago on Twitter to, I think his name's Alex Machuca at Scaling Fast. And I think he did a Q&A, and because he scaled to 600K a month in like a ridiculous time. It was like 60 or 90 days from zero. And he said initially it was just DMs and cold emails and just getting as many people as I could in front of my offer, and then just doing the work. And that hustle kind of mentality didn't require some crazy SOPs or anything wild like that.
I think doing the work is the most important thing, right? Because one thing I pride in my business is like damn near everybody who started is still here as far as clients. And that just makes things so much easier. All you have to do is just do the work. Which I like. I'd hate to be, and this kind of happens in large scale in the advertising business. You pull in a lot of clients, but you equally lose a lot of clients because you're just so obsessed about getting new deals in. Where I hate that because I don't necessarily like working with new faces and dealing with new brands. And I like to get a really deep understanding of who I'm working with. So I've always tried to avoid that. But for a lot of companies, it's just, is new business in greater than business coming out? And for that, you need great systems and you need great salespeople. But it's a pretty bad spiral to be in, especially in this economic climate where it might run dry. And then
that's the thing, right? So like marketing sits directly in the middle of the P&L, right? You are not the most important cost on any business's P&L. You're the first thing that's going to be looking at or being looked at to get gatted. If you have the semblance of an internal team, can we do something similar in-house that isn't going to cost us excess cash?
It's
the
happened.
answer is yeah, exactly.
It's happened. But 60 or 90 days later, they came back. Yeah. I encourage people to try it. It's, you could probably replicate it to a degree internally, but then you're paying payroll taxes and you have to give, bad way to say it. You have to give your employees rights. You know what I mean? You did so well. The whole recording, you did so well, and then you just went off a cliff. Go on. So real ones know what I mean, and they agree. But it's not necessarily even cost effective. It's just not going to be better. You have these people on your team and their entire job is just to work in your ad account. Well, I have access to your competitor's ad account and your other competitor's ad account and your friend's ad account. And maybe just what's working in theirs I can apply to yours without you spending thousands and thousands and hours and weeks or days testing what figures out. There is a benefit of having access to other accounts. Because you can find things which work and don't work, and every account is still unique to an extent, but trends still exist.
Completely agreed. Because even in our space where we're looking at like growing companies by, cold email and doing customer research and like teaching them sales, fundamentally the same tenets apply if you are in the same industry. Right? That's why you see people niche down, especially in the lead generation game. You see people niche down and just conquer a market, right? So Andre Heichel Jr. conquered email marketing. They weren't changing all of their stuff per email marketing client they had. You use the same framework, you just rip it out. One prospect will like company X because they are, more similar to their industry. One prospect will like company Y because of insert this reason. They had a better sales process or whatever it is, right? Like you can use the same shit again and again and again. Like it's just frameworking. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's just effective business.
And also you've kind of like been digging at the ground for the oil. The moment you've found oil, you're just going to dig in the same place, dig deeper. So it's the same analogy, and it works.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way of putting it.
So in terms of like because I know that you said that you were in luxury and you said you were in fashion. What prompted that versus, anything else?
I like to make clear that it's probably, if you're trying to find a niche to make a lot of money, and it's probably one of the poorer choices you could make, it's unwise. But the difference is I understand those industries very, very well. I've worked within them. I've worked on them. I've always been connected to it. So I understand that they need a different treatment to a company that is selling purely utility-based products or like, dog toys or some shit. Also, I also need to have a vested interest and be passionate about what I'm working on for me to personally enjoy it. So if you're selling dog toys, well, I don't give a fuck about dog toys. So I don't want to sell dog toys. Yeah. And it's going to be difficult for me to run ads for you selling them because I don't really care. But if you're selling like shoes, which I'm very much into and I very much appreciate, and I love the brand behind them, I'm just going to be more inclined to work on it more, and I'm going to be inclined to be more passionate about it. Every single brand I work on, I strongly like. That makes it easier.
Because we've asked a question on the podcast before to different guests. Do you need to love what you do in order to do it? I think your answer is very clearly yes.
You don't need to, but like it would be pretty shitty if you don't. Right? Like I'd hate to be working on something I don't enjoy all the time. Doesn't really matter how much it pays you. That's the thing. It really doesn't actually matter. Because if you don't enjoy your day, is money really going to make it different? Not necessarily.
So the only kind of like, I guess, thing in parallel that works with that is the fact that you're still doing ads and you like doing ads.
I love being in the trenches.
Yeah, exactly.
And by trenches, I mean like Facebook ads manager. Yeah. I think, I still work on the business very much, but I think to keep the quality where it's at and keep people satisfied, you have to go into the account, see what's going on. I still do it. I still love doing it. And the only reason the company exists is because 6 years ago I decided to do it. And in some cases, clients specifically want me to work on it, which very flattering. But I will,
Going back to the whole, you wouldn't do, puppies and, dog toys because you don't really care about dogs.
I mean, selling puppies is definitely illegal. Don't try and sell puppies on Facebook.
Toy puppies. Come on, man. And, but when it comes to, say, for example, you're selling Dior's, but you're doing the Facebook ads for Dior or something along those lines, you're still doing the ads, but the topic that you're doing the ads on is something that you care about. Does that make the difference? Because with me, I wouldn't mind doing cold email for really any genre. Like I don't really care about most industries. So I don't really have a specific industry that I would love to send the emails for. But the fact that I'm sending emails means I'm getting the amount of, I'm getting the joy from it in the first place.
There's a lot of, that's just the publishing stage, right? I gotta tell, in a lot of instances, we must instruct what we want in the shots, what we want to be in the ad itself. We gotta go to the, one thing about high paying clients is you gotta like visit them and stuff, which I enjoy doing. It's like we're going to the office, we're discussing like trading calendars, plans and shows and launch parties and stuff and whatever it may be. So it's not just me like plugging images in. It's a whole different world, and I really gotta enjoy doing that. And also it allows me to better understand it as well. If a fashion client wants to advertise something, and they wouldn't do this because they're a brand themselves, they know what they're doing. But if they wanted to advertise like fur coats right now in the UAE, well, don't, because they don't need them right now. Or swimwear in like the winter months of London. It's not really ideal. There's better things to sell right now.
Like fur coats in London.
Yeah.
On Canada Goose.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to kind of loop back to something you said, right? So you said that if you were to choose again, if you didn't have the passion for like fashion and luxury, it wouldn't be something that you would do. In my mind, and this is someone that knows a semblance, like 1% compared to what you do about luxury, right? So like from the outside looking in, it looks like an attractive market, right? This is a very high value product. The cost per acquisition can be fairly high and you will still make a margin on it. Like I realize that because these are huge brands, their margins are going to be impacted by the scale of it. But from the outside looking in, like that looks attractive to me simply by virtue of these brands make a ton of cash. Therefore, they can pay you a ton of cash. Logically in my head, that works. I don't know whether that is true. Like from your experience, is that the case, or have you gone into luxury for a completely different reason? Is it because of the love for, high-end luxury?
It's not for the margin opportunity. If I wanted to make margins, I would do it for like software companies or something.
Okay.
Where there's plenty of more money to be made. But I don't care about software.
Care about fashion.
Yeah, and it goes both ways. There's a lot of expenditure and stuff which goes into these brands to make them these luxury, well-known houses. The money that's spent on these events is insane. 35, 50, 100 grand on just one night for a party. And it's all in the name of luxury and building a brand. So while you might just see a pair of shoes which sells for 600 and the acquisition cost is, I don't know, 80 to 100 on it, there's plenty of money, which is going into content, networking, PR, all that stuff. So it's not as huge as you may think, but there is a lot of longevity in it. These are brands which are more likely to exist in 100 years than fast fashion brands, typically.
People don't think about the long game either. Because if you really want to
You really got to think with a long-term horizon in luxury, an extremely long horizon. There are things which will pay off in a decade from now, a couple of decades maybe, which means you also need a different level of capital because you have to make these long-term investments, where if you're selling dog toys, you probably need the money quicker.
Okay, so we've I'm conscious that we're talking at like a really high level about what you do because you operate at a really high level. If you went all the way back, right, like you, as you know now, are advising, you know, let's say 17, 18-year-old you who's trying to get into e-commerce just as a, this is never going to work. And then lo and behold, it does. Like, I suppose it's slightly later in that process, right, when you started to introduce paid media. What do you know now that you didn't know then that you would want to go back and tell your like younger self?
In terms of overall business philosophy?
Business philosophy could be equally, it could be specific around like your current talent stack, which is paid media and like luxury fashion. Like pick both, pick either. Either one. Ideally both.
Oh, I'd probably just tell myself that number one, pay yourself first.
Okay.
What's the point otherwise?
Okay.
Number two, really focus on the long-term game. You know, think about what you're doing now and see how it could impact you in 2, 5, and 10 years' time. Are you doing something which you would be proud of in 2, 5, 10 years' time? And I'd probably also tell my younger self to never be neutral, because when you're in neutral in business, you're going backwards, because everyone else is progressing.
Expand on that.
It's not enough to win; others must also fail. No, well, you can let it out. You're just covering your mouth, right? You can laugh. It's okay, buddy.
Explain yourself. Again, explain yourself.
I won't explain. No, but really, that's what it's about. Like, don't stay neutral, because then you are going to go backwards, because things are constantly evolving and changing. The ads platform is very different to what it was 2 years ago. So the fuck is it going to look like in 5 years' time? Are ads going to be as necessary of a service right now as they are going to be in the future? I don't know. So get into consulting. Always be hedged and always keep your guard up in business. And that's what I tell my younger self.
Keep your guard up.
Keep your guard up in business.
What does that mean?
Look out for everything that's around the corner. And by that, I mean, and it doesn't necessarily need to be like someone's trying to take your clients or something like that. It could just be something simple like you're in the ads business and Apple is trying to kill the ads business. Keep your guard up. Hedge against it. Something as simple like that. It could be completely mundane, you know. You have a coffee shop. Starbucks is opening up next door. Keep your guard up. Find another location or make better product.
I guess it's think 2 steps ahead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Super interesting. Okay, so we've kind of gone very deep on the business side, right? So like from our friendship, which goes back years and years and years.
Yeah. Crazy how the world works, right? Who would have thought we're here?
So for context, I went to a grammar school in, you know, Buckinghamshire, which is 15 miles away from my house. Zarak went to the same school and you were a couple of years younger than me.
I was a couple of years behind you, yeah.
Yeah. And I remember you from school and you kind of like disappeared off the face of the planet one day and then no one had heard from you. And then I was on Money Twitter scrolling around and I think someone retweeted you onto the timeline and I scrolled past it, scrolled back up and I was like, wait, I know that kid. What the fuck is... clicked on his profile photo, and I was like, there is no way.
Yeah.
And I think you had like 10, 15K followers at that point.
I have no idea.
And I was like, this is the same fucking kid. And I messaged you and I was like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Well, what the fuck are you doing with a Twitter account, man? Only I'm meant to have one of those.
Literally. And then that was probably what, like...
probably a year or two ago.
Yeah, a year and a half,
Maybe
2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then obviously we now hang out fairly regularly, but like...
Yeah, man.
From from
You know all the secrets.
Yeah, I'm the first one getting whacked. But
That's a
I
joke.
guess
It's putting on record. That's a joke.
yeah, if I died in such circumstances,
I'm not involved. That's what I'm saying.
I would never do it. I'd get someone to do it for me.
oh god damn it! All right. Anyway. So I guess going from like our very like almost traditional like crab in a bucket mentality school
Yeah.
to having achieved what you've achieved, like where did that come from? Because I mean,
Hatred.
That's powerful.
of what? Of whom?
You went to that school for longer than me. I
Yeah.
I didn't even finish that school. It was a very different environment to what I was used to. I had a very good group of friends, but it was like a small group of friends. And that school was like, and to get into that school, you didn't have to have money or anything. You just had to pass like a test when you were a kid. And I was one of those people. But there was a very weird mentality in that school where it was super focused on education and getting into like higher education, which I'm not shitting on, by the way. I think most people should actually follow that path.
Yep.
But there wasn't any facilitation if you didn't want to do that. They wouldn't really want to help you. But I was a child at this point. I was 16, 17, so I was just angry and confused because I didn't want to follow that path, and I knew that business would be the solution some way or another because I had already tasted a bit of it at that point in time. And you know that school didn't do right by me.
No.
They did not. So it was fueled by hatred as soon as I got out. I was like, not only do I have to make it work for myself, I specifically have to make it work better than anyone else could make it work for themselves. I was just angry. I don't really feel that way anymore, and I understand why the school like had that vision because they want people to enter higher education. It gets them more funding.
Yeah.
Teachers' jobs are reliant on it.
So it's part of a machine.
The school is part of a machine, and I have no bad blood against them, especially now. I mean, why the fuck would I care? But at the time, it was like purely, fueled by hatred and anger and fear of like I could completely mess all of this up and not even have like formal education behind me.
Because you left what at the end of?
I was like 16 or 17 when I left.
Oh, because yours was sixth form, wasn't it? So it ended at 18.
No, ours was year 7 to year 13.
Yeah, so 13.
Yes, I dipped when I was 17. I didn't finish.
Yeah. Okay.
I went straight into business. That was like a really challenging time just at home. Because obviously, like, I'm like yelling like an idiot. Like, business is the answer, but like, what business, right? Like, at the time, it wasn't really there. So it created a lot of problems at school, at home, and internally as well. It's something I wouldn't want to revisit, but I'm happy it happened. Because I don't think we'd be here if that didn't happen.
That's kind of the rite of passage for a lot of people. I feel like hatred, rage, a lot of those kind of like negative emotions, which kind of get ignored.
I get messages from a lot of people from my school.
Oh, really?
Probably every week.
No way.
Really?
Yeah, I ignore like 95% of them.
No way.
But sometimes it's really cool because like someone who was like very close friends with in that school messages me.
Yeah.
Who I just there's some friendships where like you can spend years apart and you just reconvene like nothing happened after years.
Yeah.
So I like getting those messages sometimes. I know when people mean well.
That's always a good thing. But like when we're talking about essentially like the negative emotions that kind of drive a lot of people in business, they kind of get brushed under the rug for this whole everybody can make it. What was it WAGMI?
Yeah,
Let me tell you something. Not everybody can make it. That's the whole point. Yeah. Only some of us are going to make it. Very few of us are going to make it.
100%. There's a lot of people on Legion Twitter right now with no clients, looking for clients, burning money on quick mail and instantly and all these other sasses.
It's time to get a job.
I mean, you said it, not me.
No, look, it's it's if everyone was to make it, then it wouldn't be fun.
Yeah.
Because then why is it special? It's special because of everything that went put into it: tears, blood, sweat. Yeah, it's just crazy.
I know you want to say something right now. You best hold your tongue.
Real ones, no. But it was. Sorry. I knew you was gonna lose it at some point. I was gonna lose it at some point. No, look.
No, but
It's fun because it's fun. It's fun and it's beautiful because of all the craziness and all the pain that we went through to get to this point.
Yeah,
that's the only way we can appreciate it. Would you appreciate it if it was just handed to you? I don't think so.
No, 100% taken for granted.
So I was having a tangentially related conversation recently, and it was like, it's the idea that the third generation squanders the wealth, right?
Probably.
So the first generation. So for example, like let's say we had kids, right?
Pause.
Relax. No way of us three having kids. So don't worry about it. Either way. So
You don't know what science is doing.
I don't want to know what science is doing if that's the direction it's going.
Based.
Either way. So if we had like our individual sets of kids, right? That generation would learn directly from us. They would do fine. They would either maintain the wealth or maybe marginally increase it.
Do you care?
What about like my kids and the future of yada yada yada, or what? What do you mean?
Like if they have like a shit ton of fun with it, and like you die,
I'm gonna die anyway, right?
Do you care what they do with it?
A part of me feels like if they completely fuck it, right, and they become idiots and just squander that wealth, I've failed as a parent.
Yeah.
Right. However, that's not like that. That's the level I care most about.
Are we talking about child or grandchild?
Child is the current discussion.
Okay.
However, historically, if you look at like the transition of like wealthy to not like billionaire wealth, right? But like the 1% of their children tend to do okay.
Yeah.
As soon as you get down a level to the grandkids, that's where you start like death by a thousand cuts. Money
Fuck
just
the grandkids though. They'll be like 20 years old by the time you die. You know? Who fucking cares?
But this is my point, is that if I've done all this work to build this up and I've taught my kids properly and my kids then don't teach their kids properly, that's where the failure happens, right? So like the whole goal in my mind, and this is said partially in jest.
Yeah, but your parents taught you, my parents taught me there was no wealth to necessarily preserve. I still built it. I would be more focused on instilling knowledge into my children of how to build it from nothing.
Agreed. 100%.
So even if like my grandkids fuck it up, they can just build it right back.
But see, that's the exact point, right? You've taught your kids. You're reliant on your kids disseminating that message downwards. And that is where I think most of the problems happen. Because you are the one teaching your kids with your life lessons. Your kids potentially have never had to struggle for shit, which goes back to the previous point, right? Where it's like, it is the hard work and the blood and the sweat and like everything that wasn't handed to you and the fact that you had to reach.
I know, but I wouldn't wish that on my kids. That's the thing. I went through so much of it that I wouldn't want them to live through that. It's gotten really dark sometimes, man, on this whole journey. It's gotten really bad sometimes. You know, for the last 3 years have been absolutely fantastic, but it's only because the years leading up to that have been absolute hell. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, so I certainly wouldn't wish it onto my children. So, you know, to not have to go through all that in and of itself is a privilege.
So you kind of see it on Twitter when people are talking about, I'm not going to give my kids shit because X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, you know, you can do that, and I'm sure people have their reasons for it. I'd want mine to enjoy it. As long as they're good people, I don't really care.
That's the whole conversation of I grew up in the ends. I'm going to raise my children in the same place.
Back in the ends.
Like that's just stupidity. Like you left for a good reason.
Let me remind people as well. Like just because you were able to overcome whatever circumstances you went through doesn't necessarily mean anybody else can.
Including your blood.
So if I subjected my own blood to whatever I had to go through in business in the early years, it doesn't necessarily mean they'll come out on top too. I'd like to think they would, but I'd like to just skip that step. What's the point of them going through it if I had to go through it? Why the fuck did 2 generations have to go through it? Exactly. Sounds like, I wouldn't want it.
So I have a couple of sets of friends whose parents have done very well. And the life lesson that I obviously only know from the outside, right, is I did this off my own back. I have no reason to assume that you can do the same thing. However, that doesn't mean that you therefore get an easier life. So it's not you have to live in struggle. You will benefit tangentially from me making it.
Yeah.
However, that doesn't mean that you then grow up with a silver spoon, right? Because I also know kids who did grow up with a silver spoon, and lo and behold, they're the ones who are dickheads.
Being a good person and working hard are 2 very different things though, right?
Agreed.
Yeah.
I would focus on them being good people.
Okay. How would you teach that?
Well, I don't know. I don't have kids.
You got to teach morals though, and they learn by osmosis, don't they? So if you see...
Did you say what?
Yeah, you learn by osmosis.
Isn't that like the cell shit? Like with the cells and the water and the membranes and...
Yeah, but it's a corollary to, you know, transference
Oh,
of
so it's
knowledge
not like
to
a
people.
natural...
It's not actually, you're not learning shit by osmosis.
I'm not
based.
like putting my hand on their head and the water from my hand is going into their head. No, that's not how this works. But like, they pick up stuff from you.
Through osmosis.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I don't really want to think about it, man. I don't have kids. I don't think I'll have kids anytime soon. If I do, I'll cut the check. But
You missed that, didn't you?
I did.
yeah, I know. I did. I don't know. I don't know how to teach them how to be good people. Just tell. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But I don't necessarily want them to struggle and build something from scratch. I don't see there's necessarily a point. If they can just preserve it, then fine. An easy life is a privileged life to live. I'm not really here to like. I'm not the best person to give philosophical advice though. Kind of, you know. I haven't really figured it out myself.
The funny thing is, you say that, but the idea of, you know, the long-term view and looking at what decades of looking at what your efforts now are going to do for you 20 years down the line is pretty philosophical. It's top level.
Yeah.
So in my mind, you've already dropped a few gems. So don't think that you can't drop more, because you are dropping more.
This is the other interesting thing. It's oftentimes, and I will put my hand up and admit to this as the worst culprit of it. Like, it's people who are not qualified to give philosophical advice that spend most of their fucking time doing it, right? Whereas you've just come out and said, I don't know shit.
I don't know shit. Look, I know about business and I know about a few other things, but like philosophy and morals, I don't know, man. It's a very, very deep and difficult question to answer, and also I think everyone's a great parent until they become one.
Because you think you have practice with like younger cousins and like really young siblings.
Man, I don't even do that. I don't really stay around kids. Like, pause. Like, I don't have any younger cousins like that, man. They're all like I don't know. They're not kids anymore.
I definitely have, but I feel like when you actually have the kids, it's yours. You raise the child from zero. I feel like the connection is going to be deeper than anything that a cousin or a niece or nephew is going to be.
You are directly responsible for that human being's like.
You are the most responsible person for that individual. So by nature of that, your behaviors are probably going to be different. You're probably going to take a few things more seriously. You're going to see them walking around doing stupid stuff in the kitchen, and you're going to think twice, more so than you would if they were like your cousin that you don't really care about.
No, that makes sense. I don't really know what to say in response to it. Did it elicit a response? Yeah, yes. for sure, bro. No, I understand. But it's a long way away, or at least it's a little while away. It's not anytime soon. It'd be. I'm also in no rush. I'd like to just be set before any stuff like that even happens. You know, my parents were like super busy when I was growing up, so like parents to school day and all that shit. Like, we never had that, or we very rarely had it. But like, it's because they were building like a business or they were working. Like, I get it. I'm happy it happened in retrospect. But I'd probably just want to be a little more available. That's the only difference I'd make. And the reason that they weren't available is because they were building, and I'm building.
You've just done an earlier stage in your life.
Way earlier stage.
Yeah. Do you think that, like, going forward, obviously, like, you're still super young, like you're 25, 24?
24.
24, right? So you're at a much earlier life stage than most people who will ever get to the things that you've done. Yeah. Like, you've done that at a much earlier time point. Where does it stop in your mind, right? Because if you want to be available for, you know, future kids, all the rest of it, you want to be more around. At what point do you kind of go, okay, cool, I'm done now?
Interesting. You know, I was speaking to my mother the other day, and I said to her something on the lines of, I cannot wait for this all to be done and I can just chill. And she said to me, people like me and you, our minds will never be at rest. We'll always be finding something to do. Even if you have all the money in the world, you're going to find something to occupy your brain. Because the second you stop, your brain's just going to rot away. That's her view. My view is like 200 million, I'm done. I'm done. I don't give a fuck. I'll let my brain rot. I'll have a hell of a time on the way out. 200 million and I'm done.
Me and Shani were actually talking about this. So, like, we're building a software product. The investors that we have already said, what's your sale number? And the amount of money that Shenny and I would make off that sale number is, more money than I could ever dream of having. So cool, happy as Larry, right? The question then becomes like, what do you do with your time? Do you then start another business? Do you like repeat the whole cycle again? And for me, the answer is no. Why the fuck would I? I don't care that much.
There's a very famous saying, you only need to get rich once.
Exactly. And if that is the method of me getting rich, then so be it. Fantastic. The only three things that I would spend all of my time doing at that point, and I've already told you this, you already know this, right? And they sound stupid, and I don't care. The three things I would spend my time doing is eating great food, playing pool, and playing poker. One exercises my brain, one exercises my hands and my body to a way lesser extent, like hand-eye coordination. And the other keeps me happy. Fantastic. Those are three things I give a shit about in life. Done. That's me forever. Every single day, forever. No questions asked. Sorry, look at me like this guy's a fucking idiot.
It's just interesting how hanging with women wasn't in that list.
I'll be married and have kids, man. Leave me alone.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, that's the thing. I've pretty much been a recluse for the past 4 or 5 years, besides with the exception of this summer where I really kind of started doing stuff.
This was an amazing summer. Sorry, Side.
Best summer of my life. Best summer of my life for sure. I had a really good time, and I've learned a lot, and not necessarily in business. In fact, I probably learned little in business this summer, but it's not necessarily about an exit or the money or, growing your MRR or any of that. That's all cool. But life is so much bigger than that. Real enjoyment and happiness from someone who's already made a little bit. I'm telling you, it's about being around people who you enjoy being with, being in good company, feeling safe with your friends. That's really what it's about. I had way more fun with my friends this summer than I did when I bought any of my cars, or moved into my place, or any of that, or bought any piece of jewelry or any of that. I had way more fun every single time with my friends and people I care about and people who care about me. And that's, I think, what true happiness is. Money's just a byproduct. I really mean that.
Do you think that the common concept is money doesn't buy happiness, but you're far happier with money than without it, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'd hate
100%.
to cry in a Toyota or some shit. I'd prefer to cry in my car any other day. But and also money is still something you have to have. You still need to provide. You still need to protect and provide. But
Money only solves money problems, though. That's how I've always seen it.
That's true. I agree. And obviously you can have a little more fun knowing that financially you're a little secure, right? If you're bankrupt and you're going to the club, you're not going to really feel great because
I don't know. There are certain men
it's
that do
not
that
appropriate.
regularly.
I know.
and are happy as shit.
I know. And they're happy for the moment, but they do need to get their lives together, right? So you'll feel more secure, but really the good moments are just laughing with your friends, right?
That's why I'm so happy for my day ones and a lot of the people that I met. I really stopped making friends. I think after really I made friends with you at university because we started university together, and really from
You start making friends after that.
pretty much who else.
With the exception of
Nice to know we're not friends.
Bro, come on, don't do that. Don't do that, man. But as far as making a concerted effort to see and integrate myself with new people,
Yeah,
it kind of stopped then because that bucket for me was filled.
I agree.
And then there's the fulfillment bucket. Me, I still make tunes, I still DJ, and I still do radio and stuff like that.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah,
I've
bro.
been doing that for
you were 16 or something, right?
making tunes since I was 14, but I've been DJing since second year.
Man.
So 21 years old. That for me is fulfillment. I could do that every single day, no problems, no questions asked.
Well, the Goldman Sachs guy, he's a DJ on the weekends. The guy who
Really?
owns Goldman Sachs. He DJs on the weekends. He has a SoundCloud account.
Jamie Dimon? Not Jamie Dimon.
Some other guy.
Some other guy. Whatever. Yeah.
They all look like each other. Not in a racist way.
But it's really important to have those things down. And it's odd person to get this from, but Andrew Tate, he said something along the lines of
Hey, sense to the rest of this, bro.
bro.
The whole thing.
Listen,
Bleep the whole thing out.
The
matter.
whole thing is getting cut.
It doesn't matter where this comes from, simply because this is a really prominent idea that I've actually found, especially when we started meeting some of the people that we communicate with on Twitter.
Yeah.
If you had your whole 80% solution thing that you were doing on Twitter right when you
Way
started,
back when, yeah.
you kind of have to have a bit of the most important things, like a sufficient amount of all the important things, and then have the one thing that you love, which is where your fulfillment comes from. And for me, that would be the music stuff. Once I get my bag, I'm gone.
Absolutely.
What are you business for?
That's what it's about, man. And even like now, like I think the biggest change in my life is we're going to like all these fashion parties and events and stuff. And I always take my day ones, or at least to try and take a couple of day ones with me to that.
100%.
And it's for a mixture of reasons, but like, you know, it's just cool to kind of take them with me and have my fun with like people who were there from the very beginning. You know, we were at the Four Seasons a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember, something like that. Some penthouse party. I took my day ones with me. You know, I'm not taking all these new friends just yet. Yeah,
My old friends can fight as well, so I'm always protected. It's always good.
yeah, that's why I take them sometimes, man. I'm a little loud when I'm with my friends, you know. I say whatever I want to say just because I know I got all that backing with me. I'm a little more confident.
100%. That's kind of how it goes. But like, as far as having your day ones there and making sure that's secure, if you don't have that and you go out and you try and make a lot of money, once you solve the money problem, you've got all these other problems you got to deal with as well. Which is why a lot of that whole like red pill stuff, a lot of that's kind of washed, because you can get the girls and then you have no money to entertain them. So,
I never really got into the stuff. I just never really digged it, you know. I don't understand it either, though. Like the whole Tate red pill, black pill, incel shit, man. It's like we're just be normal. Just be normal.
but this is the thing, normal for a lot of people isn't something that people like seeing. People are like, you know, normal for you is kind of unattractive. So that's kind of why it comes out.
I don't know. I feel like people are just trying so hard to be different now, and even if it means at the expense of being liked, so long as they're different.
This is a whole internet conversation as well, because this is propagated by a lot of people doing crazy stuff online for likes and retweets and stuff like that.
Yeah, I just speak my mind on that platform, man. Whether it's good or bad, I just speak my mind.
You ain't gotta take it seriously, innit?
I don't take it seriously at all, because what's gonna happen? What are you gonna do if I say something you don't like? You're gonna tell my employer, just email me, you know? What's gonna happen?
Take this to HR.
Gonna take
Turns
this
around,
to-
looks himself in the mirror.
Exactly.
You shouldn't do this.
Exactly. What are they really gonna do? I'm a private account. I say what I want to say. I'm just
Do you
having a good
advocate
time.
for being a private account?
No, I mean I'm a private account for my own reasons.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's cool to be a public account. Just not for me.
I think one thing that you kind of were saying, it might be a good idea to touch on, it might not be because it might not be interesting, but I think it is. You've had a pretty incredible weight loss journey in the past.
Oh yeah, we're 100% talking about this.
100%.
This is absurd.
Man, we're still not done. It's you know what? I just watched The Sopranos and I saw Tony, and I was like, man, that looks cool as hell. I want to do that too.
Yeah, but the way that you're doing it is the
quickly.
interesting.
We did it mad quickly. Yeah, we went up and down really quickly over the summer.
We'll get into the method in a second, but when did it start? Like, when did you say, you know what, I'm going to start doing this?
I don't know, like a month ago, something like that.
No.
2 months ago?
No.
2 months ago.
So remember when? Because I'm not going to give out numbers, but remember you went from like stupid high to then when we met up and you were like minus.
Like a shit ton, like very slow, very quickly, I think.
Yeah, and then you've dropped again, and then now you've dropped again. Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking about like from that point.
Yeah.
It's what, like
2 months?
beginning it? No, more than that,
3 months?
dude. Like 6.
No, we didn't even meet 6 months ago.
Yeah, we did.
Or if we met
Beginning of
6
the
months
year.
ago, I had no intention of doing anything 6 months ago.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That was like when you were at your biggest.
Yeah.
And then maybe like 2 or 3 months ago, you were like, "Yeah, so I'm gonna start on this crazy diet." And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
okay.
was just good. I just decided like 2-3 months ago. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna fix this. But I'm gonna fix it very quickly. I'm not gonna wait like a whole year.
Cool. So 10 weeks, nice middle ground. What weight did you start at?
I don't remember. It's pretty high though.
What weight are you now?
I haven't weighed myself in ages because my house is under construction. But I know it's down like plus 45, 50 pounds in the space of like 3 months.
20 kilos in 3 months.
Oh no, what's
2.2.
what's 26 kilos?
26 kilos is like 65, 70 pounds.
All right, so like in excess of 50 pounds in a very short amount of time.
Okay, and how are you achieving that?
Oh, do you not know? No, I'll speak about it. I've become an advocate, and by the way, I shouldn't really be speaking on health and fitness because I'm an enjoyer of cigarettes and alcohol and all that stuff. So I'll keep it quickly, but I'm an advocate for prolonged fasting periods, which really helps. Like 7 days of just not eating anything, and the effects it has on your mind and your body are like profound. So I'm quite a fan of it, and it helped accelerate like what would take like 2 years of like, or like a year of like strict nutrition and exercise.
The other thing is you are training at the same time.
Oh yeah, like Equinox membership and all that shit. Yeah.
So you have like a personal trainer, you are doing regular like cardio, you are doing regular weight training. You've just coupled it with a very aggressive diet.
Yeah. Do it quickly. Do it. Just get it done quickly. You know what I mean?
So 7-day fast, and then on the 8th day,
You just eat something and then you do it. You run it back.
so what do you eat on the 8th day?
Just usually break it with like some bone broth and some soup, and then you eat like whatever. It was nothing crazy, man, because like you just stop caring after like the 4th day. So on day 8, like you get like a sandwich or some shit. It's nothing crazy.
A one sandwich.
Nah, it'll be more than that, man. It'll be like whatever, like I don't know. End of the day, it'll be like 1,800, 2,000 calories, like pretty regular shit.
Yes, that's like so for reference, because I think we're about the same height. Yeah, something around that. You might be a little bit taller than me. I'm not too sure. For me, in like calorie wise, for me to start on a diet, 2,000 calories is like, okay, now I can like lose weight steadily. So for you to eat what would be,
See this whole shit about like counting calories and macros and all that stuff?
I can't be
If
bothered
you just
to that
eat
either.
nothing, then there are no macros and calories. Boom, easiest solution. It kind of goes down to all the systems and stuff, right? Well, if you make it very easy for yourself, you'll typically get accelerated results too. By all means, I'm not done. I'm still like, I'm still exploring it and stuff. But there was like this big transitional phase, which we're like way past now. And it was just through like prolonged fasting, which I think helped in business and stuff as well.
it made you more focused.
Made me tremendously more focused.
That's fascinating.
Because your day is broken up and by the way you eat meals.
Yeah.
You take a break in the morning, you take a break midday and in the evening. Well, now I can just work throughout the day without like this interruption.
How many hours a day do you work?
I don't know. It's different every day. Like today, it's going to be like a few, but there's days where it's like you start at like 11 a.m. and you're not done till like 2 a.m. Yeah. But I love every minute of it. I really do, because it's only benefiting me. That's what it's about, right? And some days it's quite quiet, I mean, it's going to get busier now because we're in like the sale season and Christmas and all that stuff is coming up. And in the summer, it could have been quiet depending on like when the fall winter collections and the spring summer collections come out. But I think the hours of the day aren't what's so crazy. It's when the hours are. Like I'll do 8 p.m. to like 2 a.m. But I might not be doing anything 2 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Right.
Which is, not normal.
Just because of, so we had a bit of a nightmare with the room booking. So we've obviously found a beautiful little studio area that we can record this in. We then couldn't get in for like 20 minutes, so we started late, which means now we're running about half an hour later. So we're gonna have to call this. But before we do, we're gonna do the same thing as we always do, which is a quick fire round.
Oh fuck!
We got
Yeah. Fuck it,
a quick
let's run
fire.
it. I'm in.
We got a quick fire round.
Let's go.
These are like don't think too hard about these questions. It's not meant to be like a
Intrusive thoughts will come out.
that is kind of what we're expecting. But yeah, don't think too hard. Just dome them. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So, would you rather fight 100 duck-sized horses or one horse-sized duck?
Duck-sized horses. 100 of them.
Genius. The man is a genius. I said this from day dot. The only sensible person we've had on the fucking podcast. Why?
You could probably just kick them into oblivion, or just like get like a semi-automatic.
No guns. No guns. It's just you. It's you and those big ass boots.
Man, just curb stomp every single one of them.
Thank you.
throw up the set when you're done.
100 horses will overpower you. I don't care
You're
what anyone
crazy.
says.
They're
Or the size of ducks, though.
I hear you, but you have to think about the power of a horse anyways.
The only reason a horse is so powerful is because it's so fucking big. If it's this big, it's tiny. Anyway, all right, we're going to sit and argue this. All right, do you have a drunk party trick?
No. I wish I could be more entertaining. I really don't. The only drunk party trick I can think of is no. I mean, you got to remember though, I haven't like partied like at all and since this summer, right? So I'm still trying to figure out what that trick is.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'll find it. I'll let you know as soon as I find it.
All right. We're gonna introduce the GOAT question that we asked. I think maybe like 1 or 2 podcast guests. So this is the GOAT question that we mentioned.
There's more than that, isn't there?
No, there isn't, but I'm doing it in the middle. All right. So you have to stop what you're doing, i.e., running the agency, the consulting, all the rest of it. You stop what you're doing now for 1 year. The only thing you can do is take photos of goats. We will pay you, let's say, I don't know, 50 million for that. 10 million for that, let's say. You get 10 M's.
I wouldn't get out of bed for it.
Really?
Kidding, yeah, I probably would.
Okay. As in you are taking photos of goats for that year. You can go back to doing whatever you're doing now.
For 10 million?
Yeah.
So what's the caveat?
You cannot do what you're doing now. The only thing you can do is take photos of goats. So you wake up in the morning, take photos of goats. Come back, go to sleep, wake up the next morning, take photos of goats.
Can anyone else run the business for me?
No. What, as in the current business?
Yeah.
Yes, but you see none of the revenue
Yeah.
for that year.
I don't see any of the revenue.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Interesting. Okay, fine. Does it change if the number increases?
Yeah.
Okay, what's the number? How much would you have to get paid to take photos of goats?
I'm not saying that. No.
Okay, fine. So you're going on a trip around the world. Think like Harry Potter style train carriage. It goes all over the world, all of the big crazy, you can climb Machu Picchu, you go see the Great Wall of China, Pyramids of Giza, the whole 9 yards, right? On this train carriage. You have to take 3 people with you, living or dead, but they have to be like notable people. So don't pick like friends from home or like your mom or people like that, right? So I already know one of the answers because I know you and I know what you're going to say.
You're going to whisper it?
No. I want you to
Tell me
come out
afterwards.
with it, right? Yeah.
All right. I think I know what you're thinking.
So three people, living or dead. Who are they?
Around the world.
Yeah, you get to travel around the world with these people. So
You
you're
said
going
it
to
can't
spend
be, and it cannot be family, and it cannot be. You say it couldn't be friends either.
no friends. So it has to be like notable people. Think like celebrities or like whatever.
I'm taking Shaq.
Okay.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
Why wouldn't I?
Why would you?
Yeah, why?
It'd be fun.
Shit. Just like seeing giant ass Shaq in like.
Could you imagine like Shaq like scaling the wall of China, bro? You wouldn't want to see that. You wouldn't want to see that. You're lying.
Okay.
I would take. Can't say it on air. No. Because you're saying people you don't know, right? I would take.
I love how Shaq was immediate. I know exactly that I'm taking Shaquille O'Neal.
I had to
Everyone
take
else is
Shaquille
different.
O'Neal, right? Oh no, this is easy. I would take Bear Grylls.
On a survivalist one.
Yeah, just in case like shit goes down.
Fair enough.
That's sensible. Yeah.
And then I'm taking Genghis Khan.
That's an amazing choice.
Is it?
The world might be beautiful, and I might just want to take all of it.
Oh, okay. Maybe not for that reason. That's not what I was thinking, but
He said, "Let me conquer the world while I'm at this."
I don't know, man. Genghis Khan, Shaq, and
Bear Grylls.
Bear Grylls. You know what? Fuck Bear Grylls. What the fuck is he gonna do, man?
I mean, you have Genghis Khan.
I got Genghis Khan. What the fuck is? All right, let's replace Bear Grylls with like Kim Kardashian. No specific reason why.
Kim K.
Do you not think you're going to get bored of Kim K?
Something good to look at.
That's fair. Okay. There's your 3. Definitely 2 of the most interesting answers we've had. Shaq, I don't know why the fuck you take Shaq on this trip. I can't lie to you. But Genghis Khan is super interesting. I also don't know why you'd want to take
Why
him.
wouldn't
but-
you take Shaq?
Can you imagine being
Notice how you're speechless because you didn't know.
No, because I'm thinking about the obvious answer, which is you in a Harry Potter style train carriage with a man who's 7 foot tall and 2 feet wide.
Oh, the whole thing is around in the carriage.
No, I mean, you have to be in the carriage to get to the places.
Yeah, I mean, Shaq's not that big. He'll get in a train carriage.
Bro.
Brother, Shaq is huge. Shaq is as tall as this room.
Are we standing in the train carriage?
I mean, at one
He
point,
can. I mean, he can.
at one point he's gonna have to.
It'd be fun. How long would the trip be?
It's around the world.
It's around the world, so let's
So like a year.
yeah, like a year.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what happened to Shaq if he couldn't ever stand up fully for an entire year. Be like a scientific breakthrough, right? Like, do you think he could handle it? Because he's like
4 inches off Shaq's height. By
I would make Shaq shorter. Yeah.
Okay. Final question. If you could have any superpower in the world, what would it be?
See into the future.
Very, very quick answer on that. Why?
Seeing into the future and having a brokerage account. Come on now.
Fair enough.
Quicker way to make his 200 M's.
I'd inside trade my way into oblivion. And also, like, yeah.
And no one would be able to tell you were doing it. So it's kind of scot-free.
Yeah, exactly. I'd be like Nancy Pelosi. We're going to get whacked as soon as this episode's over.
That went over my head, so it's all right.
Yeah, you just keep playing dumb. That's it. Those are the quick fire questions. Anything that you want to say? Obviously, this is your first and potentially only.
I have a course I want to sell everybody. Now listen up. No, I have nothing to sell. I have nothing to sell. I have nothing I will sell. Nothing I really want to sell. And I'm not even selling my services because I can't really take on clients right now. Just wanted to say, to you guys, gentlemen, thank you. It's been an enormous honor and a privilege to be here with you guys today in this very nice room. I'd like to obviously say thank you to Money Twitter for welcoming me with open arms. Shout out to Daniel Fazio specifically. Sometimes I'm just sipping, I'm at home just sipping Hennessy, the non-alcoholic version because my parents are watching. And I think, man, I really wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the stuff and the resources that Fazio put out there. I'd like to thank my day one friends. If they're watching this, and if they aren't, then they're no longer my day one friends. I like to thank my parents for bringing me onto this earth. This is my Oscar award speech. I like to thank them. Biggest critics but biggest fans as well at the same time. I think keeps me in check. Shout out to shout out to Nemalations. Shout out to Peanut, love you long time, top 2 not 2, and shout out to all of my clients who have treated me so well, and I will continue to work hard for them for as many days as I have left, so long as they keep giving me money.